What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of U4 to Your Eternity, Season 3. This is episode 14. With me, as always, I have Blue Spade.
Yeah. So we finally get to catch up with Fushi's friends that he's brought back you know, well, brought back into the modern era, and we find out like how they're trying to adapt into you know, this new era that they were brought into. Um but at the same time, I really feel like I'm disliking Fushi more and more as a character just due to like I don't know.
He just seems
It's okay.
completely oblivious to everything.
Yeah, he's not viewing things in a bigger picture because like he feels like a lot of the stuff that he's seeing is like it's sort of a bad thing to him, like he's doing something wrong, but it's not that. It's just because the people he's brought back is like they just want to live their own lives. They don't want to be like you know they don't want to like being babysitted by some immortal being that wants them around like for all eternity or something like that.
Yeah,
Um,
it's just shocking to me, like, just how, like, kind of childlike Fushi views everything. Like, he feels like them becoming more independent or trying to adjust to their lives, and them potentially even, like, he's more so, like, afraid of them just leaving him behind. And that's, like, his main concern throughout, like, this episode is that once he learns about, like, how, like, I mean, it mainly also focuses on Gugu, but we kind of get what's going on with some of the other characters too, and he's just afraid that, like, and even Tanari, and how, like, she's trying to pursue her own, like, she's trying to study and like do something for herself, and eventually, like, he does kind of have, like, a conversation with her about this too, but he's basically just concerned with everybody, like, just eventually that they're eventually just going to leave him. um
it's just the fact that he's asking like why like Hyro and Gugu were in that situation that he found them in, like in the last episode, and he
yeah.
finds out that both Hyro and Gugu were fighting some gang members after school, and like it ended up breaking Gugu's mask in the process.
Yeah, and,
And
and of course, like, the main reason is that they're getting into so many fights is because of Gugu wearing the mask, and everybody is just like, fine. Of course, obviously, is gonna find it weird, and they're basically all just like picking on him because he's wearing the mask. Uh,
Yeah, and well, we also find out that Gugu has gotten plastic surgery.
which you
I
can't
mean, I
even
don't know
see it
how he got.
because, like, his hair is covering his eyes, so you can't even see what. Yeah, I mean, you can't even really see what the plastic surgery did or anything. So, um, yeah,
And plus, like, there's also bandages in his face too, so you
yeah.
can't really. I think that also has something to do with that. Um, so, and we find out and Hyro, of course, tells Fushi the whole situation, and he mentions that he plans on leaving the house. I think a year from now to pursue his own goals, and like, and Fushi feels like asks like if he's not happy with him or something like that. It's like no, it's like I suppose like everybody like involved is you know has the same mindset of like they just want to move on with their lives. And then there was that conversation with Tanari about that about how she wants to pursue her own goals and leave the house too. And then she asked Fushi whether or not he knows whether or not he knows what they did in their lives when he had to go into hibernation for all those years while they had to live their own life remainder of their lives when he brought them back initially.
Yeah,
Then he said is it- and he just blatantly just lies or just something about like that he knows what happened to them or that or something like that. But I call BS on that because he doesn't really know what happened to them while he was hibernating.
yeah. I mean, I, I mean, on one hand, I kind of get to some extent, like, where Fushi is coming from, but like I said, it just seems like a very, like, immature way to view things, like, where he just wants to almost, like, just to be with him forever. But I kind of like that this episode, at least, gave it, reinforced that they're their own person and they're not just like there to just kind of hang around Fushi, because that's kind of the impression, at least that we got for a lot of the series. Whenever he brings people back, that they're just gonna, stay by his side regardless. But I like that this arc is sort of emphasizing that they're all their own person and they have their own desires and they, their own things they want to do.
Yeah,
But Fushi
and
doesn't really seem
then
to realize
yeah,
that.
yeah, and of course we also see him with Gugu, which we find out that Gugu is of course homesick. He remembers getting revived back into his hometown and seeing the old shop that he used to run, with the old guy and his girlfriend Reen. Of course, we found out that Reen never ended up marrying and ended up, passing away soon afterwards. But of course, the what was it? Gugu's older brother's descendants ended up taking care of that shop for over the years, like somehow keeping it maintained, uh, for all these generations. And he finds out that that they hold a festival um, every year to celebrate Gugu as as this folk tale hero that ended up taking down one of the knockers from generations back.
Yeah, and conveniently, the place looks almost exactly the same as like when it was like how many years ago now? Like maybe 1,000 years or so ago.
More than likely,
Yeah,
yeah. So yeah, and of course, he initially thinks about leaving and then like going back to his hometown, but he tells Fushi that that he's willing to stay behind and look after Fushi, who he still considers him his brother.
yeah. I do like that how this episode developed Gugu a little bit, and there's more of a focus on him. I'm wondering if they're going to do that for some of the other episodes with some of the other characters. Like Hyro got some focus in this one too. Um,
Yeah,
uh,
and of course we also see Messar again, but
yeah,
yeah, he's really just doing his own thing, like everybody else is and plus, I mean, you have to imagine what's going through everybody's mind is like you can imagine most of them didn't really ask Fushi to bring them back, uh, especially bringing him back to this new era, which they're not familiar with. Like they have to attend school, they have to find their jobs, and then they have to do this and this and that. Just a lot of complications that you have, that people have to go through, in a setting such as this.
well, speaking of which, like I'm just continually surprised as to how Fushi even is even in school, like considering he almost never shows up for school, and when he does, he's probably just like failing everything. Like he takes a test in this episode and he literally can't figure out any of the questions. Like he doesn't answer any of the questions. He just puts a huge question mark on the paper, and he doesn't know what the answers to any of it. And it's like he doesn't even really try to study or anything. Like, and it's just like it doesn't make any sense either, because you would think that like with all the time he's been alive, he'd at least have read up on something or studied or just done some of this himself, where he would have at least some knowledge. But it just seems like he's completely like he has no like academic knowledge or anything. Like he doesn't.
I mean, I remember he did ended up reading
Yeah, there was
several
like
books over the
yeah,
years.
in
It's just
season two, like we see him like spend a lot of time, like it looked like he was reading books, but I mean, what's he done with all that knowledge? Does he just not remember any of it, or I don't know?
I mean, unless he sucks at math and
Well,
in
I
general
mean,
history
yeah, that's
soon
one thing,
afterwards.
but yeah, we just, as far as we know, Fushi is just completely just failing school, um, and he doesn't really seem to care.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just yeah, it's just I don't know. It's I don't know. I just don't like the way they portray him as this immature, even at this stage of his life for all the years that he's lived through, like including bringing back a lot of his friends and not understanding what they're going through, what they want to accomplish, and I guess in their I guess you can call it their second life of sorts because
Yeah.
he's he's brought them back once, and then they had to live their lives while Fushi was hibernating. Now, like they're having to live through all that again, but this time in a whole brand new modern era, which they're not familiar with.
Yeah, I do like this episode. At least goes a little bit more into that.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully, I think supposedly this episode preview for next week is going to explain like what all the other characters have been doing while Fushi was hibernating, what their lives have been, whether or not I don't know, they made their own families or made their own lives doing something like that. I mean, technically, we did get like a, you know, like a narration from the creator of like what they did, but we don't really get the full details of what their lives were soon after that.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought it was a fairly decent episode for the most part. It's just like Fushi just continues to frustrate me with how like kind of just naive he is about everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't have much else to say though. I don't know if you have anything else to say about it.
Yeah. I mean, it is a welcome development that we finally get to catch up with Fushi back with his friends, but at the same time, it's just like it's baffling like how little he knows about uh like how the rest of the world works, or like how people in general like have to go through things,
Yeah.
which of course Fushi like has no understanding of. I mean, obviously he's never had a real family of his own, you know to begin with. Like he had to make his own family with all the people that he's interacted with over the generations, and now like he just doesn't have a general sense of how people, like actual people, like think, behave, or like how they want to live their own lives, and like go through the struggles of like how they have to go through certain things.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because like the first part of this season really kind of focused on Fushi just seeming to have no real understanding of like romance or love or how that works. And then these like this past episode sort of just highlights that Fushi has no real understanding of people like wanting to be independent or living their own lives, and not being like tied
Yeah.
down. And you'd think that he would have like, after, over the thousands of years that he's lived, he definitely already would have like an understanding of these things. But yeah, it's funny how this season just kind of highlights how he's just completely oblivious to so much of that, or so many things that just kind of, I guess, constitute just the human experience, I suppose you would say.
Yeah. Yeah, and then he's shocked to see like he sees like Echo and March like learning how to use chopsticks for the first time, and you think he'd be happy about that, but it just like
Well,
for some
instead
reason
he has some
he's
vision
not.
of March just like growing old or growing up, like I guess without him, and I guess it kind of like terrifies him, like that March would go off on her own and just like start living her own life.
I mean, you would think that he would understand this, but he just doesn't. That's the problem.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't. I mean, obviously, March has not really had like much of a like a full grown childhood.
Well, and also like
Did
while
she
she
have?
was, if you remember from season one, that one of the things she wanted to do was like become a mother, and she's never able to do that, of course, just because she died.
No.
Um,
And then of course, like when she was brought back into the second season, she never had that same opportunity either, because she just literally stayed beside Fushi while he was hibernating, literally to her death.
yeah,
So it's not like she really had a chance to live her own life, like in either instance. So now this could be like like the perfect opportunity for her to actually finally live her own life for the first time in her life.
yeah. But yeah, guys. So that all being said, until next time, we will see you all later.